Hello whisky fans, welcome to the Whisky Bothy, somewhere in the middle of the Irish Sea, in quite a miserable wet night somewhere towards the end of October. Excuse me, right, so you've had your treats, you're not getting any more, clear off, go away, shoo, right, thank you. End of October. The winter is setting in, don't you? Excuse me a second. Right, out. Come on, out. You go away now. Go away. You're getting cheeky. Right, we're all right. We're safe to go. We're safe to carry on. The thing about the cats, I don't mind them popping up if they clear off the barrel after they've had a treat. But that little brat, right? He's not been well, and he's been getting extra fuss and attention. That's Billy Bundle, the Bothy cat. And still, he just milks it for everything it's worth. He wants more and he wants extra because he's not been well. But he's perfectly fine now, and he's back to his old tricks. And I better push on with this video. This is review number 1103. And I'll start with the conversation, the brief conversation I had in my local town recently, where someone asked me, say, hey Ralphie, we're having a family get together and we've decided for old time's sake, for auld lang syne, we're actually just going to have a total generational family get together because people are living such separate lives these days, and we just want to have a meal round the table, and there'll be no mobiles, no social media. Everybody's to put their mobiles in a box, and the box will be put in the garage. So I wish them luck with that one, but hey, it's manageable. And we're going to sit around the table, and at the end of the meal we're going to have a single malt whiskey. Now you're the guy to ask about it. And I said, sure, I think you're absolutely right. So what have I recommended to them? Well, this, last reviewed in review number 878 back in May 2021. And this is Glencairn 10-year-old. And this is a whisky I would recommend to anyone, anywhere, at any time that's having a family get together and you just want something that everybody's going to enjoy, and it's not sold in the supermarket and it's not on fake discounts. And it's an authentic whisky with lots of natural haze in it, and it's bottled at 46%, and it's unchill filtered, and it's got no natural colour, and it's a bottling where it tells you this on the label. Now this, as you can see unusually, it's still sealed, and I thought this is going to be the perfect opportunity. Something I do very, very rarely in this channel, because I'm always tasting and trying whiskies for about a month or so at least before I get round to reviewing them. But I'm just going to take this totally on first impressions, first taste. So I'm going to do this review just a little bit differently. And I feel already with this bottle that I'm coming back to an old friend. It's completely unpretentious. It is super accessible for everybody, no matter where you are or how much whisky experience you have or you haven't. So whether it be granny and grandpa, whether it be aunts and uncles, whether it be mums and dads, whether it be sons and daughters, or whether, heaven forbid, shouldn't happen, but occasionally it does, the grandchildren, just to get a tiny taste. This is a really, really friendly, engaging, kindly whisky to go for. And furthermore, you can find it online for £35 a bottle, which in my opinion is really, really good value. So did you notice when I'm tearing off the little zinc metal foil strip, I'm turning the bottle as I do it? That means you can get it off in a oneer. Too many people start to twist it, right, and actually start to take the foil sideways, and they don't get a nice clean separation. Are you ready for the virgin pop? That sounds terrible, but I don't care. We're going to have a virgin pop. Get a wee bit closer to your computer or your mobile device. Here we are. Oh, it doesn't get any better. Right. Glencadam, East Highland, Lowland Highland Distillery. It's unpeated, it's barley rich. It carries the taste of whisky that many, many people who don't drink whisky expect whisky to taste like. It's got that cereal note, that fresh fruit note. It is completely unassuming. It is totally unpretentious, and frankly, I think it remains an absolute outstanding core range bottling from Glencadam Distillery. It is widely available. You can generally find it. If you can't find it, just ask in your specialist shop, and if they get it in for you, just remember now, you shouldn't be paying too much. So what are you getting here? As soon as you nose the whisky, you get that light, fresh, white fruit note, melons and a little touch of pineapple. Nice, wonderful vanillas, complex vanilla notes, slightly floral, very little hint of herbaceousness. You know, the herbaceousness as in elderflowers, coriander, light herbaceous. Very mild spices, not a lot of spices going on. This is a fresh fruit and barley grain composition. And I can't think of anybody ever, anywhere, that's actually told me that they do not like this. Never. And I think that's quite remarkable. And sometimes in our whisky journey, malt mates, we get caught up in the latest novelty bottlings. Even when they're at a good accessible price, we forget the grand old staples that are always with us. And these are what essentially some reviewers call your perma-shelf bottles. In other words, if you have a whisky collection, you should always have these bottles open because they never ever disappoint. Nosing this straight, I'm not no dress rehearsal or nothing, because you saw me unseal the bottle here. Absolutely on point, and everything I remember from the last time I had a previous bottle and I opened it and reviewed it. It's totally intact. Taste. Neat. Wonderfully rich, soft, understated complexity. It's got that background of soft, slightly sour golden syrup, big vanillas, threading all the other fibres of flavours together into a tapestry. It's just absolutely delightful. It's not a complex whisky. It's a simple whisky delivered at 46% unchill filtered and natural colour, which lets the simple complexity of it shine through. You do not get this experience, I assure you, if you buy a 40% chill filtered bottle of whisky. And if it's 40%, doesn't matter what they meant to say in the label, it has been filtered very, very heavily. I'm going to add a drop of water to this. I'm going to add not the full 5 millilitres, but 2.5. Half a soda spoon. That's my little ladle measuring device for consistency. So I've added half of that, and I'm looking at the fact that it's really gone straight, and there's not a lot of threading or viscosity going on in the glass. It's very readily assimilated the water into the malt, and immediately on the nose you're getting more fresh fruits, and now you're getting a distant whiff of fresh ginger. But it is very mild, and this is quite what you would call a brulee or baked custard, almost slightly dairy style of whisky, and delightfully so. Not to be confused with lactose, right? I'm talking about the creaminess of it, the creaminess that you get from a full fat milk. And also, what you get from full fat milk is mouth texture. You get mouthfeel because it's not been heavily filtered, and you get exactly the same with this. On the nose again, a bit more aromatic, a little bit more melon note going on. Melon starts to become more prominent over time, but let's not forget what's carrying it. Fundamentally, this whole delivery of this single malt is this soft, almost confectionery but not quite sweet barley cereal richness, which really adds to the texture of the whole experience. I cannot rate this highly enough. I think, to be honest, it's a bit of a victim of its own success. It's so reasonable, so available, so accessible that it tends to get overlooked and bypassed. And it's a shame that we don't see Glencadam appearing a little more often in various guises at the online Scotch Whisky Awards. What could the company do to improve it? Well, they could give us a simple cask strength version of the standard 10-year-old. Deliver more power in the event. That's the one way they could dramatically improve it. In a similar fashion to my last review, 1102, when I reviewed Kilchoman, the super cask strength version compared to the standard 46% version. Same single malt from the same distillery, but two very, very different and equally deserving experiences. Now we're seeing a little bit of Scotch mist appear in the glass. And that, by the way, if you see that in a whisky, it is always a sign of natural colour. E150 caramel colourant chemical never looks like that. The nose has subsided a little bit, settled down, so we're going into the flavour here. Sherbety, fizzy in the arrival, soft, developing, growing melon, vanilla, soft, mild sultana, beautiful grain complexity, understated and slightly over-delivering, fullness of flavour, and phenomenal value for money for the price. This kicks many big brands out of the park. Just sharing an opinion, that's all it is. Just an opinion. Still legal at the moment, so long as you're careful. Back for a second taste, in case I missed something first time round. Can't have that happening. I like the growing eau de cologne note. Eau de cologne is eau de cologne de Gochengas, is a perfume originally invented in Cologne, and it has this combination of lavender and thyme, two herbs, and they create this unique smell and unique flavour, and I'm getting it in this whisky. It's delightful. Final taste, creamy, rich, sweet and soft sour, hugely accessible for anybody at any stage in their whisky journey. It is a totally friendly single malt, and I am thoroughly enjoying it. I'd like to reassure you that having just fresh opened this bottle, first pour, it's as good as it's always been, and it's changed very, very little from the last bottling I bought. And I love that reliability and continuity that you find in core brands. Here it is, and there's a bottle full of it. Got to have one more taste before the malt mark. No peat at all, none. Eau de cologne, vanilla, lots of vanilla, but never too sweet at any point in the glass, never too sweet. Fresh, zesty, sherbety, slightly citrus, beautiful lemon zesty, no grapefruit zesty in there. Mild sultana, little bit of ginger and pickled ginger, so two kinds of ginger on the flavour as it develops. A good substantial development, and for a 10-year-old whisky, a good long lingering finish, which tells me that they're maybe using a little bit of older single malt in this 10-year-old statement. So this could be a composition of 10, so minimum youngest whisky is 10 years old, but possibly we're heading nearer to 12 years old. That's the impression I get. Let's give this a malt mark, and I'm not going to hold back. I'm going to be totally sentimental about this. This really deserves it. I'm giving this whisky a high mark because it's humble. It's never been a bragging single malt. It's just not like that. But it is often overlooked as people talk lyrical about what used to be better single malts, but in fact they're going downhill a little bit, but not with Glencairn 10-year-old. 85. It deserves it. It really does. For the whole experience, and certainly the price point. Now, if you want to pop back again for review number 1103, I'm going to talk a little bit more about this Glencairn. I'm just going to talk a little bit more about whisky in general, and in particular at this time of year, because we're heading into winter, and the fact is more and more people are thinking of buying whisky. So I just want to talk a little bit about that and share my experience. So, if you want to know more, you'll have to join me for my next review. See you there.